What puss and dog phone number? Body can't guess that.
Nobody can guess that. Eh? Guess it?
Puss and dog phone number, I don't guess yet.
No.
Everybody
not hear that.
Everybody have the option. Nobody can answer. Yeah?
Jamie, what up to Sandra?
But I mean, I know we can't do that.
Yes.
Puss and dog phone number 181, brother.
Yes! That's true! Really?
Bombard!
Bombard!